It's absolutely massive, it flies incredibly well, and it's gorgeous too. But you don't have to take my word for it. Hey there, I'm John. This is Two Brothers RC, and this is the Hangar 9 J3 Cub. Horizon Hobby sent it over to me after months of begging them to let me demo it, and here it is. The J3 Cub is a dream machine, utterly beautiful in its simplicity. So let's dive into it and see how it stacks up to the no patent pending Two Brothers review system. Before we get into the maneuverability section, let's start by giving you my actual opinion of the J3 Cub. No, it doesn't do cobras or any other goofy stuff, and it doesn't hover either, but it does allow you to fly by the seat of your thumbs in an entirely stick and rudder experience that gives you a solid feel for energy management, and it handles so well in the sky that it's unbelievably awesome to fly for how simple it is. Starting off with maneuverability, the J3 Cub can be flown with a neutral center of gravity. I removed the front seat in the plane to allow me to push a Spectrum 4000 G2 pack as far aft as I felt safe to fly. You can easily go further if you want to be adventurous. That's a pass. It takes off and it lands without struggling. Takeoff is really simple. Get the tail flying, add opposite rudder if the nose begins to drift or wander, gently pull the stick and it'll fly. Touch and go practice is a must with this plane, not because it's hard to land, but because it's not hard to land. It's absolutely gorgeous when you get the vertical speed just right on the approach. Touchdowns with no bouncing are totally possible if you're flying it down to the ground and you're not chopping throttle and trying to glide it in all the way. Landing is just like a touch and go. If you're flying on pavement like I prefer to, flying it down to the ground is a must, or it will bounce if your vertical speed isn't very slow. Fly it in with thrust and it'll settle down on the mains really well. If you're on grass, the same technique applies, except it's a bit easier to three-point a landing, though it might still bounce a little if your technique isn't perfect. If you're flying with the float set, and I highly recommend that you do, takeoff and landing isn't hard either. It's actually easier to fly the Cub off water than it is to fly with wheels, because it flies more like a traditional tricycle-geared aircraft. If you're good at airspeed management and can fly it down, it does incredible one-float touch-and-goes. It will also land just as well as it does on wheels, except better, because water is awesome to fly from. You can even go a step further and stabilize the water rudder with the AS3X Plus nose wheel gyro. This will help make it track straight in the water on windy days, so it'll fight the tendency to windmill so long as you've got thrust applied. That's a pass. Adequate thrust is our next checkpoint. You may disagree with me that it has adequate thrust, but I feel like it's got about twice the thrust to weight ratio that the full-scale J3 Cub has on the 6-cell setup I was using. You're not gonna hover this plane. It's not meant to hover. I wish it did hover, but that doesn't mean that it has inadequate thrust. It flies great doing normal Cub stuff, and that's a total pass. It has a pretty low stall speed while maneuvering at 1G. I was able to fly it within a narrow lake corridor with floats, and I never ran into any issues with it dropping a wing or biting me while I maneuvered it. It's well behaved, but that's no surprise because it's a Cub and it's not trying to be anything else. It should be well behaved, and if it's not much of a Cub. That's a pass.
That is the coolest thing I've seen all week. Wow.
Any stalls that I entered were easy to get out of. Simply throttle up and add rudder if needed, then push the nose down and begin flying again. Very, very simple, yet still good to practice to get good at it. That's a pass and a total score of 5 out of 5 here. Let's check out the flight time on this bad bird. The J-3 Cub comes paired with a Spectrum Avion 4260 480 kV motor driven by a Spectrum Avion 70 amp ESC. This combination can fly on 4 or 6 cells out of the box. If you're flying on 6 like I did here, make sure that you're using the 14x7 propeller that it comes with, or be prepared to overheat the Avion ESC. Definitely fly the correct prop. If you're flying on 4 cells, which I didn't do at all, use the 15x10 propeller. On a 6-cell setup, I was able to get an average of 7 minutes of flight time, which nails what I'm looking for in giant scale wood airplanes, and that's a 5 out of 5 in this section. Landing gear is our next chapter. The Cub does have functional wheels, which does pass, as you can see, and they're made of rubber, which is pretty awesome, but they're a little stiff for my personal tastes. Combined with the stiff suspension, this plane both fails and passes. The reasoning for this is that I don't want stiff wheels, but I do want stiff suspension on giant scale wood airframes. The last thing this aircraft needs is a prop strike which can destroy the motor box, so the suspension being stiff is fine, but the wheels being hard are not. When all you have is wheels to provide suspension, you do need softer wheels to smooth out shocks. This isn't a huge issue, but it is still noticeable. The gear are lightweight, very much so. The wheels and suspension together add a trivial amount of weight to the aircraft. That's a pass. Because it's light and simple, the Cub's gear also require low maintenance. That's a pass too. And once more, if you haven't had a chance to fly it on floats yet, definitely do that. It's a little easier to land and it's a ton of fun. And that's a total score of 4 out of 5 in this section. Before we move on to the fit and finish and avionics sections, do consider scrolling down just a little bit and hit that like button for me. If you're not already subscribed, definitely consider it please. And if you're not part of our Discord chat server community yet, hop down to the description below, join up, and chat airplanes with us. Moving on to the next chapter, fit and finish, this walkthrough on screen should verify everything I'm telling you. First, the covering isn't warped or deformed. That's a pass. The linkages are high quality with metal clevises, or what's the plural of this, clevici? Anyhow, they pass. The hinges are all CA, which is typical for a wood bird, and thus it passes here. Assembly is very simple. You just slide the wing tube in, slide the wings on, plug the servos in, screw the wings in place, then connect the wing struts to the fuselage, and you're good to go flying. That's a pass too. The battery does get airflow if you cut a hole into the fuselage covering. It's not required that you do this, and I didn't notice any overheating issues with the plane without the covering cut. The battery overheating is what I'm looking for here, so it passes because it never got more than lukewarm, regardless of how I flew it. And if you want it to be cooled as it flies to give it a little extra thermal headroom, just add a hole in the rear with a sharp hobby knife and it'll flow through the fuselage and provide cooling to the battery. That's a pass, and the Cub earns a 5 out of 5 in this section. Our last chapter is Avionics and Lighting. Here we're looking at servo quality, the ESC, lighting, and the motor mount. First up, the servos are Spectrum A6380 high voltage servos, meaning that you can run these at 7 to 8 volts and get much faster response time and strength out of them if you upgrade the ESC to one that allows you to pick your avionics voltage. These are the same servos that ship with the E-flite Turbo Timber SWS, which is coincidentally one of my favorite airplanes ever for reasons you're seeing on screen right now. Thus, I know they're good because I've flown the crap out of that timber and it weighs more than this does. That's a pass. The Avian ESC had zero overheating issues, again, provided that you don't run the 4-cell propeller on a 6-cell battery, like I did one time because I'm stupid sometimes. Fly it on the 6-cell prop, which is the smaller 14x7, and it will have plenty of thrust to fly with zero overheating issues whatsoever. That's a pass too. The J3 Cub features absolutely zero lighting whatsoever. None. Nada. Zilch. I know the J3 Cub can be flown VFR only with no lights, but hey, this is a model and I want to see lights on it, so I'm not going to change the giant scale wood metrics just for this plane. No lighting, no passing. As I mentioned before, you can adjust the battery position pretty easily to achieve a nose-heavy or neutral center of gravity, however you prefer to fly. That's a pass too. The motor mount is available separately just in case you wreck it for some reason. It's currently an $8 component on Horizon's website, so if you need to replace it for any reason, you can easily do so. That's pretty well designed in my opinion, and is a pass too, giving the J3 Cub a total score of 4 out of 5 in this section. Before we move on to the overall score, let's cover the gyro gains. Yes, I am flying with a gyro. No, that's not a bad thing. It doesn't fly for you, it doesn't know where the trees are, nor does it know where the ground is. If you like flying a little more aggressive on the center of gravity, try these gains out with your AR637T receiver. Note also that these are throttle-based gains, once more, throttle-based gains, so follow the guide in the NX radio tutorial linked in the card at the top right or in the description below to learn how to set up throttle-based gains, or hop on Discord via discord.gg/2brosrc for help too. By tallying up the overall scoring here, the J3 Cub from Hangar 9 shows up with a 23 out of 25, and you can probably ignore the lighting section just a wee bit, because it is scale for some Cubs to come without lighting, but if you want lighting, and I certainly did, it's not on this plane, unfortunately, so that one matters if you do care about the lights, and if you do, add them yourself, and if you don't, ignore it. I've got good suggestions on Discord for lighting if you want to know what you could consider using. Otherwise, this is a gorgeous airplane that flies incredibly well, and it does exactly what Horizon Hobby says it'll do, which is be a Cub, be fun to fly, and look good doing it. This is one of the best Cubs that I've flown. It's a pure stick and rudder experience, and it's awesome. If you like what you see and you want one for yourself, pick it up via the link below. Your purchase directly helps support Two Brothers RC and what we do here for the model aviation community. Speaking of helping the channel, huge thanks goes out to our channel members on twobrosrc.com/supporters, and a very special thanks goes out to our mega fans: Sarasota RC Squadron, Michael Smith, JR Man, Todd, N411X, and Jeff Baker, along with our Ultra fan, TBRC fan. You guys kick so much ass. Coming up next week will be the crash reel for 2025. I won't be here in North Carolina because I'll be watching the premiere live from my hometown, Apopka, Florida, while hanging out with my old field, the Radio Control Association of Central Florida, for their upcoming jet event. We'll be filming it and you'll get to see it when I get back home. See you guys then.